Hello and welcome to this special edition and the special coverage coming all the way from Nile TV International regarding the latest developments in the region, in the Middle East, as we have seen over the past 24 hours. More updates and more developments coming from the United States and the response from Iran, as yesterday the American President Donald Trump had told the U.S. lawmakers that the hostilities in Iran had ended after coming under pressure from the Congress. And to be shedding more light on this update, I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Dr. Yasser Tantawy, the expert in the international relations. Dr. Yasser, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International and this special edition.
Always welcome, of course. Always welcome. Always welcome.
Thank you very much once again. As we did see yesterday the statements by the American President and the latest updates even by the Minister of War from the United States of America, Pete Hegseth, in front of the Congress and stating that the military operations, that the war had ended against Iran in the Middle East, in the region. How do you see the near future, the next couple of weeks to be specific, after those updates?
I think they are working by schedule. Technically, the statement was based on military operation, not war. That means it could return anytime. There is no statement officially stating this is war, but it is all documentation and the statement represented military operation. That means they can return anytime, even the second day. Yes. The other issue is practically they will start to squeeze Iran more because this is free. I mean, they are not doing any effort. They are not losing the military. They are not losing their ammunition or people and so on. So the U.S. will prefer to squeeze Iran more, and Iran is easy to be squeezed. Especially there is no Iran, regardless of the claims of having Russia or China friends, but practically it was not. So we need to understand that Iran is separate in front of the U.S. And it will be easily crushed economically and so on. And this is what U.S. is trying to. But there are lots of obstacles for that, especially as you understand, China now is the head of Security Council and starting resolving the issue of Iran's rights to preserve its border, to preserve its economy, and so on. So we are going mostly in a point of freezing of the situation, have that siege more squeezed, but the problem is not that. The problem, all of that with all respect, is a big game, because as you can see, the trend now is making Gaza Strip forgotten. It is an abandoned area now, and in no time there will be no Gaza. It will be a history. So what Israel is doing, what the U.S. is doing is to
Of course, this is the aim of the Israeli occupation forces. On the other hand, we have seen the efforts of Egypt to be defending the Palestinians and rejecting the forced displacement from the Gaza Strip. Dr. Yasser, you've mentioned that the war could be returning at any time. The military operations could be resumed by the American forces against Iran. But do you think that the war itself would be changing from the military operations and the strikes against the vital installations in Iran and in other parts of the region as well, could be changing into an economic blockade from the United States against Iran?
That blockade or siege, actually it's military siege, not even blockade. It's full military siege of Iran capacity. But we need to understand that this is a boiling, let's say, boiling waters. That means in any time, if things are exploded, there is no return. If things are exploded, it doesn't mean military action or something like that. It means like a big chaos that could happen if things escalated to military confrontation. Practically and technically, if you can see, it's all about air warfare. And air warfare only is not a winning point. So in this war, both sides didn't win and both sides didn't lose. We are still having Iran have military power and military capability, and U.S. didn't go in a real war to confrontation. From history, since the Wright brothers invented the plane, air warfare alone did not succeed, starting in Second World War, World I, War II, and so on. It's always about land invasion. And since that didn't happen yet, so there is no winner and no loser. But geography is with Iran, military power is with U.S., so there is a compensation here. So both sides understand their equity, and they are moving from that direction.
Yes, Dr. Yasser, you mentioned that there are obstacles until now in terms of negotiations and the mediation being undertaken by Pakistan, because in the past few hours we have seen that there is a plan, a 10-point plan offered from Iran to the American president through the mediators Pakistan, which is one point is to be opening the shipping once again through the Strait of Hormuz, but to be not discussing the Iranian nuclear file anytime soon. And this was not accepted by the American president. How do you see the future for such a plan?
Actually, in negotiations, Iranians are better in negotiations and more strong. The U.S. administration, unfortunately, they are looking at a wholesale deal, which cannot happen. In politics, you need to take a steepest descent in which you can have an accumulation of winning points. The U.S. doesn't have practically a winning point, except doing some siege, doing some bombing, and so on. We need to remember Cuba, we need to remember Vietnam, Cambodia, and so on. All of those countries were sieged, were destroyed completely relative to Iran. But it didn't happen. Why? Because of geography, because of national spirit, you can say that, which is extremely strong in our case in Iran, far beyond. So the problem is that both sides are struggling for the winning points. Iran is in a more strong position in negotiation because still holds in their hand. The U.S., with all respect, didn't do anything, and with all respect of any alliance that's looking for freedom of arms will not work, and everybody knows it will not work because there is no real correlation, no correlation which is capable to do that, except with huge military power, which is not that easy, and it will increase rapidly the cost of transportation in a dramatic way which could not be absorbed. So theoretically you can do that, practically it cannot happen. The U.S. administration is looking to a wholesale deal which cannot happen. You are not in Walmart to do that. But unfortunately they are trying to influence that will not happen. But we are mostly close to something in the background which is under preparation, but might be through Pakistani mediator, a cornerstone in the negotiation, which might be partial opening of arms to show up the winning points versus some, you can say, facility in opening the siege. But we need to understand that Iran is having more than 17 outlets to Pakistan. They have connection to Iraq and so on. So it's going well elsewhere. So we cannot say it's full siege like Cuba, like other countries. It is not. That's why it is very hard to the U.S. to have a winning point. That's why Iran is in a better place in negotiation.
Yes, and yesterday we have seen repeated statements from the American President Donald Trump stating that the Europeans have not helped him during the war against Iran, that there are some divisions between the US and France for Germany, and the American and the French presidents, the US and Germany as well, the same divisions and the same disagreements regarding the participation of the European Union countries or the member countries in the war against Iran, and that there will be implications and there will be some problems economically, at least, from the United States against the European Union, against France, against Germany. The tariffs will be increased against those countries by the United States. How do you see the future of the bilateral relationship between the U.S. and the European Union in general, and the U.S. and France and Germany in specific, as well as the U.S. and the NATO, something that the U.S. president has called the paper tiger during the war?
We cannot say it's true, but let's have something which is, and it's not a joke, it's serious. Go back to the Hollywood movies in the last 20 to 30 years.
Yes.
And check how far they are humiliating the European countries, the European citizens, and so on, and always presenting the U.S. Street, what we call street people or normal people or average American, as they used to say it, is far away more smart than any other person back in Europe and so on. And it happens also in military movies and so on. So just go back to Hollywood,
yes,
and you will find what's happening now was already told 50 years ago. But now it's becoming official. Okay, so
yes,
everybody, it is amusing that everybody is shocked. It is not shocked. Maybe they are not watching Hollywood in a good way. But the point is, the U.S. will be having dramatic change after that because, by the way, U.S. is a big loser in that. Very simple. U.S. is a continent. It's big. It's huge. But we need to remember, U.S. cannot do let's say business internally only. They need to communicate with the world to exchange business, economy, and so on. So maybe they have a higher rate of sustainability for now, but they cannot sustain that stress on long term. Europe will be having lots of damage, and I think mostly China can participate in that to be a little bit more closer to Europe than before. But the U.S. on the long term is a big loser because, by the all means, we still speak about one country. With all respect, even the largest, let's say, economy worldwide, but still that economy cannot work solo. That economy cannot work on domestic level only. That economy is relying on lots of participation of all countries around. The knowledge is not owned by the U.S. The knowledge is participated through the humanity itself. That's why the U.S. power coming from grabbing all of the knowledge, let's say, economy industries from lots of countries worldwide. Once they start being close, we need to remember the U.S. before Pearl Harbor, which was a single closed continent. It has no impact outside, so it is a decaying empire. Just we need to understand that there is a very nice book called The Rise of and the Fall of the Roman Empire, and it presents exactly how empires can go high extremely and go down. And there is a theory in history called the fall of overextended nations. It's a very nice theory presenting that in real. So this is the signs of that. It could take time, but the U.S. damage economically, internally, it will be massive and irrevocable because everybody will run out of the U.S. bonds, running out, being stock listed in New York Stock Exchange and so on. And everybody is going to the main route, which is more stable countries or more stable and not to be applied to sanctions. So all of those economic weapons will be reverted back to the U.S. economy, unfortunately. And it started, by the way. Calculated, it started.
Yes.
It's rolling already.
Yes, Dr. Yasser Tantawy, the expert in the international relations. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of this special coverage. Thank you for watching and goodbye.